long, and it's, I think, legitimately called an epic play, but it's really 71 incredibly intimate little scenes. So it needs size, but it also needs, it's terrifying, isn't it? It'll go by like that, I promise. Almost. I mean, part of an epic, the idea of an epic, I think, is it's not really an epic unless it wears you out at some point. You should get to the finish line happy, but really tired. If you haven't, then you haven't in yourself replicated the epic journey. It's, an epic should not be easy, and it should hurt your butt, and cause various kind of circulatory problems. But it needs both a kind of size and a kind of intimacy, and theaters like the Court, I mean, really beautifully designed to have both room to do. If you've seen this, a set that has that kind of scale, but where the person farthest away in the audience from the stage is still right there, that makes all the difference in the world. And you guys, I'm sure, will agree with me about that you're not pushing it, across a vast sea of blue carpeting. In some places you have to, with incredibly comfortable sort of Barca-lounger chairs where the audience, blacks out 2 seconds in. So it's a great space, and that makes a huge difference.
Yeah. Could you also, I mean, after the Signature Theater revival in New York, in 2009?
Last year.
10, yeah. You were still working and rewriting parts of Perestroika, right? And is it accurate to say that our text for Court's production is the, well, dare I say this? Because yesterday you said, well, you're thinking about some changes and maybe some line changes, but essentially is the completed, finished text for you for Angels in America. Do you know? I guess what
is it now done?
Yeah.
That's going to be, I think, a question I'll be able to answer after this afternoon.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I needed a little bit. I did a lot of work on Perestroika.
Yeah.
I mean, it's completely recognizable from the play that it was. But I've always said that Millennium approaches. There's a scene in Act 2 that it took me a while to get. It's a scene where I had the scene. It's the courthouse step scene, and I couldn't figure out why it wasn't working. And you can tell sometimes in a play where what I call the penny drop moment is the moment when everything in the play on every level sort of chimes together. And I think what really happens in that moment is the audience. A big laugh at the beginning of a play, not necessarily right at the very beginning, but sometime near the beginning of the play. It's really important to have a big laugh because the audience talks to itself in that moment and talks to the stage and says, "This is the kind of animal we are." It recognizes itself, and then it says that to the actors, who will do that thing that actors do, sort of adjusting to do battle with this particular kind of animal as opposed to the animal they had last night. And that's a really important moment. But it's, in a way, it's not an enormously deep moment. The way an audience responds to a joke tells you a lot about it, but it doesn't tell you everything. There will be a moment in a play, mostly, where I think the audience has a response, and it can be even a silent response because they've been together now for a while, where they realize they're all having, on some level, the same experience. I mean, on a very deep level, having the same experience as well as whatever kind of personal, individual experience they're having. And I think that when that happens, it doesn't happen in every play. It's certainly in Caroline, it's certainly in The Illusion, and it's in Millennium. Homebody Cobble and my new play, Iho, doesn't have it. And Perestroika, I don't know whether it has it or not. I've been looking for it, but you can't make it artificially. It sort of happens, I think. And I could tell in Millennium, in the early performances that we did in San Francisco for the first production, that there was this moment that you could feel the audience going, "Oh, here it comes," and then it didn't quite happen. And it was a scene between Lewis and Joe, and Lewis, as always, was talking and talking and talking and talking, and Joe, as always, was not saying anything. And I forced him, I figured out a way to make him talk, And the minute I wrote that scene and the minute we saw it with an audience, it was clear that the play was finished. And I haven't changed anything. I made one little cut in it at the signature. And there is one line of Roy's that I want to play with at some point. When he says, Roy Cohn's a heterosexual man who fucks around with guys. It gets a laugh, but it always sort of doesn't quite land. And I realized, listening yesterday, if he said who fucks guys, he's a heterosexual man who fucks guys, would maybe, and then I was thinking last night, but it's also, fucks around is a way of saying he's not quite ready to say, even to his doctor, that he has sex with, so I may leave it. I don't know, we'll look at it and talk about it. Other than that, there have been no changes in it. Perestroika, I mean, one thing that happened was we had just this really spectacular actor named Bill Heck doing Joe at the signature, and we did the first reading of Millennium, and he was great, and then Perestroika started, and he didn't say very much, and he sort of realized how underwritten that character was. I also found that in writing Perestroika, I had left all these moments for him. It was very easy to insert little changes. There were like little breadcrumb trails for him. So most of the changes of significance in the Lewis-Joe relationship, I also finally figured out why Lewis needs to be with Joe, as opposed to why Joe needs to be with Lewis. And I think that's in the play, and if it sounds good this afternoon, I'm more than happy to say it's done for now. I do think that it's a play that is always going to be a little bit resistant to settling. And I think there are just plays like that. And I mean, I think, I can console myself by saying that I think Hamlet is also a play that, the reason there are all these different versions of it that have been maintained over the years is that there's no happy version of it. You can, it's a giant. So we'll see.
Great.
I hope I won't do. Well, I don't know. It won't kill anybody if I do a couple. We'll see what happens.
Great. Well, thank you. Steve, anything else we're good?
I think so.
Great. Well, thank you, Tony. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you guys for coming.